Here.
Eric Morset,
Here.
Robert Poole,
Here.
Barbara Wall,
Here.
Al Silverstein here. I need an approval of the February 17th, 2022 meeting minutes as presented.
I'll move.
What? Eric, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Barbara second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, Executive Director's Report. Mr. Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm glad to be back together. We've been 2 months, 2 months since we've been together. So over the last 2 months, I'm giving you a total cumulative report for the last 2 months. Since we've last met, we had 14 different incidents of alcohol and tobacco related events. Within that, 16 people have been charged, and we've made quite a few seizures in the area of other tobacco products, sticks. We are close to 62,000 that were seized, with unstamped cigarette packs, just under 5,000. Nearly 400 containers of distilled spirits were seized, 52 containers of beer, 837 containers of wine. These incidents have resulted from really across the state. I'm just going to read off a few of the counties to give you a sense of it. Carroll, Frederick, Harford County, Allegheny, Cecil, Prince George's, Baltimore County, Baltimore City, and Washington County. So you can see these incidents take place across the entire state. Also, this is renewal time for us. It is for the local boards, just to give you a flavor of this. Again, we issue licenses to the first two tiers, the manufacturers and the suppliers, and all of the local boards across the state issue licenses to the retailers. So this is the time period for the retailers to issue their licenses across the state. It's a very busy time for the local boards, rather, to issue these. And they do somewhere close to 8,000 licenses, so it's quite a bit. And we do our licenses as well for our manufacturers and our wholesalers, just those two elements that possess our licenses. And we issue about 700 of those. They all expire April 30th to be renewed for May 1st, so we're well underway for the renewal. We have quite a few that have already filed their renewal paperwork, and we'll be issuing their certificates next week, printing these out next Monday if everything goes well, and having them out by probably Tuesday or Wednesday in the mail. I'm going to get back to that in just a minute because I do want to make another comment on it. We put out 3 training and information advisories since we last met. One of them was about the instructions for the renewal for these coupons, these licenses that we issue that were put out right now. We found that we had to put out these advisories each month or so before we actually send out the renewal coupons. Now, years ago, to renew, you had to fill out a long 4-page form to renew, and you know, Commissioner Buck can tell you all about that. It was kind of a pain. You had to fill in a lot of boxes. It was the same thing every year. So we really shortened this up. Now it's a coupon at the bottom of a piece of it's like about a quarter of an 8.5 by 11 sheet of piece of paper that you have to fill out. You have to put 4 things on there. You have to put out, we already know what license you want. You have to put out how much money you're going to send us. That's in one box. You have to check another box to tell us if you're a caterer. If you're not a caterer, you don't need to check it. It's very explicit. If you check it, you're a caterer. The third box is the signature of the licensee or an office holder of the business. That's the third thing. And the fourth thing is the signature of the property owner. Those are 4 things that are required. That's all. Out of the 700 renewals that we sent out and we received back, 400 of them were missing at least one of those items. Now, when we send out these advisors, we send them out saying, we've done this now. This is our 3rd time. This is our 3rd go round. Here's what we're seeing as errors. Please don't clip the coupon off of the advisory that we're giving you and send that in. We send you a personalized advisory in the mail. We give them very explicit instructions that are only 4 steps. Make sure you've done the following, and still 57% of them are not correct. So here are our options. Last year we fixed everything. This year we're fixing it again. Against my better judgment, really, we're fixing them again because it's just faster for our team to fix the 400 errors than it is to let people really just not be renewed and have 400 license holders not have licenses, which is tempting, but it's probably not realistic. So we're fixing all of those. We'll have all of those done and completed by the week's end, by tomorrow or early Monday, so that when we renew our licenses, everybody will be up to date. But it's a real problem, and again, it's such a simple process now, and it's kind of a maddening problem. So that is why we waste some of our advisories that we do each year to give these very explicit instructions. So I say that because you're going to hear me mention these a couple of times throughout the year. So that was one of them. We issued an instruction sheet saying, please work really hard to try and get this right. The second one was about really emphasizing to tobacco retailers, a lot of violation increases. As I mentioned, we know we're 60, almost 62,000 sticks of OTP, other tobacco products. That's a lot. And we're seeing a lot of that. We're seeing more loose cigarette sales. We're seeing more unstamped cigarette sales just through our regular retailers and businesses in the state. So the second one we addressed directly to these retailers and said, hey, look, here's the rules. Here's where you get your tobacco from. You have to buy cigarettes from this entity, and here's what they have to look like, and they got to have the stamp on it. You have to buy other tobacco products from these entities. They're the only ones allowed to sell in Maryland. And never may you ever open up a pack of cigarettes and sell cigarettes individually. You may not. We're seeing a lot of it, and we're charging for it. And so we were kind of putting people on notice that we're not lightening up on the enforcement side. So please do your best to tighten up. Then our third advisory that was put out was another reminder of how to fill out these coupons to our direct wine shippers. These are people who have permits from outside, a few inside of the state and mostly outside of the state, to sell wine directly from their wineries. And there are several conditions that exist in order to be a direct wine shipper. If you meet those conditions, then you're allowed to ship directly to a consumer in our state. And we probably have somewhere around 1,200 of these that are across the country. So we're getting, those expire on June 30th, renewal on July 1st. We've sent out an advisory just recently to let them know you're about to get this coupon. Please pay attention to just a couple of areas you have to fill out. Pay a lot of attention. If you don't, you will delay, you will probably expire. You will be delayed in getting a new one. And really just kind of putting them on alert and making them be responsible for this for themselves. So that's the advisories. Next month, the dust is still settling around the General Assembly's work this year and the governor's decisions on what he's going to do with many of the bills. Next month, we'll have a very detailed presentation on what bills passed, which ones were kind of significant and maybe didn't pass. We'll answer any questions you have. So we'll put together a fairly decent presentation for you for next month. But in the meantime, a couple of things that were interesting for us passed. One, we had our two budget hearings and our budget bill. And we really flew through, and the chairman was there for both of those hearings. And thank you, Mr. Chair, for being present for that. It makes a big difference. As he would tell you, I think they were very easy hearings for us. Fortunately, this year we'll take that. And the question from both committees, really the big question for both committees was, is that enough money? Because the governor allocated a decent increase for us. And it's been, well, it either has been or will be appropriated very soon, effective July 1st. The long and short of it is it's giving us 7 new sworn agent positions, which we sorely need, and an additional non-sworn, non-agent administrative position in the office, which again, we really need. And for those of you who visited, you see how busy a handful of people are doing these licenses, keeping up on that. So it was great for us for the budget. I love the General Assembly's questions of, is that enough? Do you need more? And I'm excited to go back next year if we're able to accomplish even more and say, yeah, we were wrong. We did need some more, and we'd like to get that. So that went well. Another bill was House Bill 1253. That was really just a corrective bill, but just to give you a sense of it, in moving the ATC and all the responsibilities from the comptroller to its individual commission, independent commission, all throughout the tobacco regulations, the tobacco laws, alcohol regulations, alcohol laws, all throughout those it mentions comptroller. And when the General Assembly created us, they said, essentially, we expect the ATC to be the successor agency. Everywhere we say the comptroller will do something relative to the regulation or enforcement of alcohol and tobacco, we mean the ATC. And there are tons of places in all the laws and regs that still say comptroller. So each year we go through and we try to clean it up. This House Bill 1253 went a long way toward that. If you care to take a look at it, it reads pretty easy, but it goes through a variety of areas in the tobacco tax law and in the alcohol tax, tobacco law and the alcohol law, to just migrate responsibilities, specifically expressly stating the ATC is responsible and may do a variety of things. Relative to that, we've been undergoing a transformation in the COMAR, which are the Code of Maryland regulations, the regs that we enact. They all live within the House of the Comptroller still. We are about, we're about a month away, maybe less, from completing the conversion of those regs from the Comptroller to us as an independent agency. There are really not going to be any substantive changes. Everything that was in regulation before, even though some of it needs to be fixed or modernized or updated. It's not going to happen now. We're just simply taking the time now to move everything so we don't have to go through a lot of hearings. We're just moving identical information over to us. Once we get it, we're going to undergo a massive reevaluation of our regs and see what needs to be updated. Of course, we'll keep you informed and bring you in on all these as we're moving along. But that's the intent over sometime after. Truthfully, it'll probably be after June or July because it may take that long logistically to move all the regs under the ATC. And the last thing is cannabis. We'll have more to report on that next month as well, but it was an interesting year. House Bill 1, which sets cannabis up for a referendum to the states, to the citizens of the state, passed and will be voted on in November. And my understanding is it's like in the mid 70s, polls indicate that the population is supportive of cannabis. So there's a good likelihood that that would pass. It doesn't do anything except to say, do we support this or not, generally speaking. Then another bill was House Bill 837. That bill spent a lot of time going through expungements and starting to set up, in a very small way, starting to set up some framework for policy about how we'll handle cannabis, but it really didn't get into that so much. But one of the interesting things in the uncodified section of it, and specifically Section 8, it said if House Bill 1 and the referendum pass, then effective, I believe it's January 1st, 2023, the Medical Cannabis Commission will migrate under the Office of the Executive Director. So we're going to have that to deal with if that passes. At least elements of it will. I'm not really sure how much of it. We're going to have to dissect that. But next week we'll be meeting with the Cannabis Commission, executive leadership, and trying to figure out what that really means and what it will look like. But it does talk about us sort of absorbing that commission, or at least elements of it, and how we should make that best happen. And next month we'll have a bigger presentation on the outcome of the cannabis legislation as well. Our website, our website's not great, but we're working on it. We are in discussions with the state's Department of Information Technologies, which is called Do It, and also the Comptroller's Information Technologies Division. Either of those may be eligible or be able to do the website for us. We're looking at both of them to see what they can offer, where we reasonably should be expecting to live. We still use a lot of the comptroller's resources, which require us, as you all have, to have specific types of email addresses through the comptroller's frameworks of firewalls and whatnot. So we just have to weigh all of that and figure out where we're going, but we're making great progress on getting a website that we all want it to be educational, informative, useful, easy to navigate. We're working very hard on that. And Mr. Chair, that's it for my report. I would just add this. The chair was able to stop by a while back and we were able to get a photograph of him and an ID card issued to him. If any of you would like to get that, let me know. We have to make an appointment for you, which is not a big deal. But if it's convenient for you and you want to do that, we'll get you set up for an appointment because that all takes place in it all happens in Annapolis. It's very convenient and close. It's just in another building with another entity that does it. So if you're interested in that, let me know. We'll get you set up for a photograph and get you your ID cards issued as well. That's it, Mr. Chair.
You're muted.
You're on mute, sir.
Oh,
Al, you're on mute.
you're still muted.
I was going to say the advantage of that is going through security, and it expedites that process. And so I'd encourage you to do that. Okay, do we have any new business? Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh, okay.
No new business.
Scared me for a minute there. Do we have any other new business at this time? Okay, if not, I take a motion for adjournment.
I'll move.
Second.
Ms. Morissette, and second by Ms. Buck. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Want to thank everybody who has sat in on the meeting. And, if anybody wants to participate, has any information that's germane, please get with Mr. Kelly for the next agenda. Thank you all very much. We'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Thank you.